Okay, so for the lesson self-check, we're going to start with can you explain it? And we're really just adding more details and information to this problem before with the skyscrapers and the houses that are flooding now that we know. So what is the claim? Make sure that your claim fully explains the relationship between the construction in China and the flooding. So the claim is that the construction boom in Chongqing has led to more resources going there instead of Indonesia. This has made both ecosystems struggle to stay balanced. Chongqing has a lot more resources that are being overused, and in Indonesia they don't have enough resources to be able to protect the houses and people from flooding. All right, summarize the evidence. The sand that was in Indonesia and the minerals there kept the river from flooding, and it absorbed the water so that houses didn't get flooded. Chongqing used the sand and took it to make buildings, roads, and bridges that helped their city, but then it ended up harming in the Indonesia city and houses that needed the sand to keep the ecosystem balanced. Okay, so we explained it. We're going to move on to checkpoints. Here they are fishing. You can see them. They have the long nets. And then it looks like fishing, but they're actually sand mining too. So sand mining from this location. It's mined from there to make concrete. Growing cities use large amount of concrete to construct buildings and roads. What is something an engineer has to ask about the use of the sand mining and concrete? What is an alternative material to sand when making concrete? What is the cost of concrete as compared to the alternative material? How does the strength of the concrete compare to the alternative? So just asking all these questions. Why are cities growing so quickly? They're not necessarily concerned about that. They're really concerned about using concrete and using alternatives. Okay, it's why are cities growing so quickly is more like philosophical and economical, and engineers don't think like that. They're thinking about solutions they could make, right? There's not really a solution when you say why are cities growing so quickly? People catch fish in this aquatic ecosystem and sell the fish to make a living. Why might these people be concerned about sand mining? Because we were talking about how they're fishing and other people are sand mining, right? So, sand mining disturbs the habitat of the fish. Absolutely, because look, they were in there moving the sand around. That's definitely going to disturb the fish. Sand mining brings more fish into the area, not necessarily. Sand mining kills and drives away predators of the fish. It might. Sand mining kills and drives away the organism that they eat. It might also take that away. So out of the options, when it says you can only choose two, it's really concerning that they're doing sand mining because it can disturb the habitat of the fish and also take away what they eat. Okay, because they need to fish and be able to get the fish. Consumer demand for cameras. Oops, here we go. Silicon is needed to make these digital cameras. And silica is a mineral found in sand. Okay, so what is the life cycle of a silica resource? Okay, silica is in the sand. That's where it's got to start, right? And then it becomes extracted. People can't buy the camera until the silicone is put in them. So digital sensors are made and put into the camera. Digital cameras are distributed to a store, people buy them, and also the camera stops working and it's recycled. So you can pause if you need to see that one more time. Oops, let's try again. So the sand is extracted from the environment, the silica and the sand is processed, the sensors are made and put into digital cameras, then distributed, then people buy the cameras and use them, and then once the camera stops working, they recycle the parts. So you can pause there if you need to. I'm going to move on. As consumer demand increases, the amount of sand that they will mine will also increase, right? If you need more digital cameras, you need more sand. Scientists use technology to ask questions. Engineers use it to solve. Scientists use it to ask questions. So if you're thinking about, do I want to be a scientist when I grow up or an engineer? Think about if you like more to ask questions or to solve problems. If you like to ask a lot of questions, you're going to be a scientist. If you want to solve a lot of problems without having to ask all the questions, then you're an engineer. Okay, there's our checkpoints. We're going to move on to interactive review. Here are the main concepts of this lesson. So what they're showing here is the different glass. We were talking about how glass and different parts of the building are made from concrete, and all of that is made from sand. So completing the paragraph about how they could work to reduce the scarce non-renewable resource. Someone would conduct an investigation to estimate. So investigation is scientists all the way, because remember, engineering, they're just making it, right? Someone could explore alternative solutions to meet whatever resource is not used. So basically, scientist, investigation, information, questions, engineer, alternative ways, solutions. Okay, here's the vegetables and describing the natural resources there. So it's saying the life cycle of a natural resource can include obtaining it, the production, distribution, people using it, and the disposal. So what is a set of steps that could be the entire life cycle? So they say first you have to find it, right? Then you have to extract it. So that kind of gives us, now we're either on B or D, because you can't process or distribute until you extract, right? So you can extract, then you distribute to other people, right? You're not going to use, I mean, you can use and dispose, but you're not going to process after the fact. You would process before. So really looking at our options of B and D, you can extract, then distribute all that lettuce, because remember, we're kind of thinking of it like the lettuce right here. So you take it out of the ground, that's extraction. Distribute, you give it to all the different stores. People use it, buy the lettuce, eat the lettuce, and then dispose of the lettuce. If they don't finish it, they can put it to be recycled. Here's the sandstone mining. How would growing more food crops on less land help us? So if we grow more food and don't use as much land, how does that help us? Does it lessen how much land, soil, and water resources we use? Yes. Could it result in the removal of native plants and preserve biodiversity? Possibly, but we're talking about growing food on less land, not removing plants. It could increase the use of land, soil, and water. No, because we're decreasing. It could result in less work. Absolutely, because it's a smaller amount of land, right? That's less work. It could result in more work. No. So maybe it could result in the removal of less native plants. and it will preserve the authentic biodiversity that we want. So growing food crops on less land really does benefit us. Okay, that's the end of the interactive review. We don't need to make our own study guide at this point. So we're going to move on to making a new video for lesson 2.